I came home to surprise my girlfriend Jenna, who had just started a new job. I brought flowers, Chinese takeout, her favorite wine, and a necklace she had been eyeing for weeks. I was so proud of her and just wanted to do something to make her feel special. But then I went down the spiral staircase to the basement, took the necklace out of its hiding place, and heard her laughing on the phone. She was whispering to her best friend Dylan, the only guy I'd ever considered my rival, but I'd never been such a jerk to make a big deal out of it. For a moment I smiled, glad to finally hear her laugh, and I decided to wait a minute before scaring them all. And then I realized what had made her laugh so hard. She was laughing at me. She was humiliating me for my appearance, and her comments about her sex life were too dirty to repeat here. She constantly makes fun of my size and even has a running joke about how she gets sick when I chew carrots because they look like a miniature version of my manhood. Then came the new insults. She told me I was handsome but stupid. I was stunned to realize she was tearing me apart in front of a guy I already distrusted. It was a crushing moment. I'm a 33-year-old veterinarian. I first met Jenna, 28, 2 years ago, when she brought her dog in with an ear infection. Before I knew it, a quick consultation turned into an hour-long conversation. I was in love with her from the start. Jenna was the first girl I could imagine myself marrying. I was your typical bachelor, a million dates but nothing serious. But she was different. She was magnetic, outgoing, sociable, and vibrant. I never criticized her, although I always thought her best friend from my old town, Dylan, was too protective and passive-aggressive towards me. She said they were just old friends and had never done anything, and I believed her. We've been living together for a year now. Jenna had just finished graduate school and couldn't find a job, so I never thought about whether I would be the breadwinner. But it suited me fine. I made good money, but I still told her I wanted her to be more independent. Not because I didn't like helping her, but because I believed that was what adults did. So I was very happy when she came to me and said she had found a job. And it was a job she had fought for. I skipped work and gathered all the things she loved that I had kept to surprise her. Instead, I was in my own house, hearing her laugh at me, as if I were some kind of joke. I didn't say a word. I slipped out of the house, threw the flowers out the window, parked, and cried. I hadn't cried like that in years. Soon I got a message from her. "When are you coming home?" I didn't answer. I avoided her for 2 days. I was still in shock, still humiliated, still heartbroken. But I loved her, deeply. That's why it was so hard. In the end, I didn't know how to start the conversation, so I went on Reddit. The support was overwhelming. Everyone told me to dump her. And I did. I broke down and told a few of my best friends everything. Then I called my mom. Even though the explanation was funny, I wasn't in the mood to talk to someone who really cared about me. She was furious. She realized I had already bought a ring for Jenna. I also wanted to leave myself a way out. I could dump Jenna in a public place that wasn't too public, a wine bar in the city center. The booths had curtains, so 6th graders who weren't in a safe place had at least some privacy. By Tuesday, Jenna was all smiles. She was super sexy, and on the way out, she told me what she wanted to do with me and started hugging me. On any other day, I would have been on cloud 9. But not this time. I told her very calmly how much I loved her, and that she was the first woman I had ever believed I could marry, that I had even picked out a ring. I confessed that I dreamed of us having a family one day. She kept interrupting me, saying that she loved me too. Then I asked her, bluntly, why she had told Dylan all those nasty things about me if she loved me so much. Her face changed immediately. At first, she was confused. Then she started denying everything. She said she didn't know anything about it, that she hadn't spoken to Dylan in those terms. I told her that I had come home early from work that day and heard her, but she still denied it. She kept lying to my face. I was calm, looked at her and said, "I heard what I heard. Maybe she called him stupid. or mean, or even downright evil, and she said mean, spiteful things, also untrue. I described how much her dishonesty hurt me, partly because I had tried so hard to trust her in Dylan's presence. I repeated this over and over, but she never once said that we were too close or that I was stupid. I was in love with her, she respected me, and she insisted she didn't understand why I was saying such things. Honestly, I would have believed her if I hadn't heard her say it. She was so good at it. Others asked if there was any chance she was talking to me. No doubt about it. So she told me my name and that I reminded her of her ex. There was no doubt about it. I told her it was over. She would take her things and her dog, and I would drive her to my place. My brother and his girlfriend were at the house to make sure nothing happened to me, and so they could see everything. I told her I would pack her things in a box, and she could pick them up later. She was stunned. She begged me to change my mind. She said she wanted to spend the rest of her life with you. It broke my heart again, but I didn't change my mind. She had no idea where to go or what would happen to her. I told her quietly but firmly that I wasn't going to do this anymore. She had friends. She would figure it out. The house, the furniture, the furnishings, it all belonged to me. She had her clothes and personal belongings. That was all. Then the tears started flowing. She cried uncontrollably. She kept saying she didn't understand how I could do this to her. She told me I wasn't the person she thought I was. I'm a good person. That's why I let her talk to me instead of throwing her things out and locking the door, I said. And again, she twisted the knife in the wound. She continued to write to him everything she had already told me, but then she seemed to downplay everything she had said, adding that maybe she had only said all that because Dylan literally brings out her funny side and makes her laugh at things that would otherwise make her literally cry. Like, over my body. That was the last straw for me. She wasn't sorry. Not really. She was sorry she got caught. It still hurts. But I also believed I did the right thing. And to anyone who has ever been teased by someone you're supposed to love, I just want to say that you deserve better. I don't think I was ever taught how to treat a woman properly. Or at least that's how I felt with Jenna. I called her names and told her I was glad she couldn't find a man, and she responded by calling me a loser and mocking my body in the most cruel ways. I suffer from body dysmorphia, and laughing that I would die alone. She said she didn't love me that much, that I was more of a friend to her, and she felt bad hurting me by breaking up with me. She said that if I brought it up again, she would slam the door in my face. She wanted me to feel worthless. I even repeated it, again making it a subject of ridicule about my body, which was, in essence, just a vicious reaction. And when I told her that I'd rather die alone than live with a cold, unloving, and cruel woman, she screamed the longest, loudest, most silent scream I've ever heard. It wasn't crying. It wasn't an emotional outburst. But there was no response, just the feeling that they were lost. And the earth cried, and the rocks screamed with emptiness and horror. Then she ran out of the room, screaming that I was a dirty pig. When I paid the bill and apologized to the poor waiter who had become the scapegoat, I crossed the street, and there was Jenna, on the sidewalk, crying. It didn't matter what she said, it didn't matter what she did. It was hard to see her suffering, and I couldn't just leave her out there in the cold. Welcome to New England. The nights can be brutal here. In the end, I drove her back to the house where we were staying so she could gather her things. I told her she needed to find somewhere else to stay for the night. She agreed. We sat in the car in dead silence. It was so awkward. When we arrived, my brother and his wife were already home. Jenna silently gathered her things while his wife was inside, and my brother and I stood outside with him. Fortunately, everything went smoothly. A friend agreed to drive her to get her things. When she left, she returned my house keys. I remember receiving several messages from her that evening, as if she had dumped me. apologies, then sadness, then anger. My feelings were very mixed. I didn't respond to any of them until the next morning, when I wrote to her that I had left the rest of her things on the porch and she could pick them up when I left for work. I didn't hear anything all day. A few minutes before I had to leave work, I got a vicious text. She threw everything she could think of at me. I didn't respond, but when I got home, everything was different. My house had been ransacked. I don't know if she copied anything when I wasn't looking or broke in or what, but she got inside and destroyed everything. Irreplaceable things were broken. Furniture was torn and cut. She filled the sinks and turned on the taps. The refrigerator was knocked over and food was scattered all over the floor. The only thing she didn't do, and she did that right, was lock my 2 dogs in the room so they wouldn't cut themselves on the glass or eat anything harmful. That alone told me she hadn't completely lost her mind, although she was closer to it than anyone else. And then I remembered, my SUV has a spare key that I gave her a few months ago in case of an emergency. I need it for work. I'm a veterinarian, and sometimes I have to transport large or unusual animals to the vet clinic. I went out to check, and there was complete chaos there, too. She had spilled flour and tomato soup all over the interior. It was more than just broken things. The person I loved, with whom I had built a life and a home, was capable of such petty, immature, calculatedly cruel behavior. Just that weekend, we had gone to the theater, spent time with friends, laughed at Monopoly and our own alcoholic version of Monopoly. Yes, we know. We cuddled on the couch, watched Netflix, had sex. And here I am, a week later, at home, in my car, with a broken heart. To be honest, I just let it happen. I hate to say it, but I had a petty moment. And I went on the Costco Instacart website and ordered about 100 pounds of carrots, and they were delivered to her friend named Jenna, he laughs. It was immature, I know, but I felt like I had to prove something after what she said, after how she made me feel. I just had to save face. Naturally, I got a whole series of angry messages after that. I don't regret it, except that we wasted food. At best, someone will eat that carrot. That night, I blocked her on my phone. I'm afraid I've cried more in the last few days than I have in the last few years. I'm on the verge of exhaustion, mentally and emotionally. But I feel like I did the right thing. Jenna isn't quite herself. She still doesn't know how to handle disagreements without resorting to harsh words. No matter how much I loved her in the end, I deserve someone who will treat me right. By that point, I had had enough time to tear myself apart. As a friend, I took a risk. Maybe I made a mistake. I work a lot. I try to be there for the people I love and do my best not to bring stress from work home with me. But I'm not perfect. Jenna and I have argued about this, and I've tried to change, to plan my day better, to spend more time with my family, to do everything I can to separate my home life from my work life at the clinic. But you know what? Being a veterinarian isn't just a job. Emergencies happen. Patients need round-the-clock care. I even get urgent calls when I'm on vacation. It's hard, but I do everything I can. But I'm not sure she ever felt like she came second. She told me this more than once, and I tried to change. But I also know that I never wanted to hurt her. Sure, we argued, but it wasn't toxic or abusive like you read about. I believed we were true partners. I believed she was happy. I know I was happy. And now I wonder, did I really disappoint her that much? Did I really neglect her so much that she believed I didn't love her? Or did she just break? I don't know. But here's what I do know for sure. Whatever I did, I didn't deserve that from her. The humiliation, emotional abuse, the end of everything we built, it's her fault. And here I am. Me and my so-called little carrot. Soon I'll find someone who will love me for who I am, without malice or games.